I recently joined GetResponse as a US brand evangelist. And in my role, I'm tasked with forming strategic partnerships for GetResponse here in the US. So if you have a podcast, if you have a blog, and you want to collaborate, be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or on one of the other social platforms, and let's go ahead and make it happen. So, in full transparency, friends, I'm joining GetResponse from the social media side of the digital marketing tracks. I previously ran social media for various brands, and I also wrote a book that came out in 2019 called The End of Marketing. And the whole premise of the book, The End of Marketing, is to help brand marketers like yourselves be more human, more relatable, and be more effective with how you do marketing. So, in today's presentation, you're going to not only hear insights from the book that's going to help you be more human, more marketable, more engaging. But I just want you to understand that the principles that I share, not only through these presentations, but also through my book, The End of Marketing, they are interchangeable for email marketing as well as for social media marketing. Because let's face it, today's consumer, they're being inundated with ads everywhere they turn. They're being inundated with content everywhere they turn. And how you use email marketing is very similar to the delivery on how you use social media marketing. So today, I'm going to share with you some different strategies and tips to help you be more effective overall in your digital marketing. We're going to talk about how you can connect social media with email marketing. So how you can use Instagram and TikTok and Facebook like you currently do in combination with a tool like GetResponse. But you're also going to hear from ZeroBounce on how to effectively clean up your contact list before you start using GetResponse. So with that being said, we are in a new generation. The internet itself, it's noisy. You've got all these different tools such as AI that are fragmenting content, they're fragmenting audiences. And in this era that we're in of AI, it's really important that you don't ignore the changes in the market. And it's really important that you start incorporating some of these different tools. There's so many marketers that I've had conversations with over the last year, ever since ChatGPT came out and AI became more prevalent. So many marketers are sitting on the sidelines and not using these tools because they're scared. They're worried. You hear all the doom and gloom that AI is going to replace the jobs of marketers and it's going to replace millions of jobs. And you know what? You're absolutely right. AI will be responsible for doing away with a lot of jobs, which is why it's highly critical that you as a marketer, as a small business owner, start finding ways to incorporate AI into your workflows. But keep in mind this very, very important thing I'm about to tell you here. And you may want to screenshot this or take notes. Today, people are brands. People buy from people and people want to be engaged. They don't want to be sold to. You look at a influencer or creator like Mr. Beast. He's become the most successful YouTuber. He makes millions upon millions of dollars by having a YouTube channel. Mr. Beast is a brand. Mr. Beast has corporations that are advertising through his channel. Because why? Mr. Beast has cracked the code that if you create content that's engaging, that's informative, that's educational, then you're going to have people that are going to watch your content and they're going to want to share your content because it's not being perceived as being salesy or spammy. So I often like to tee up these presentations by having this slide and having this thought that people themselves today are brands. And not only are you competing with others in your industry, so whether you're in insurance and real estate, whatever your industry is that you are trying to break into, you're not just competing for market share against your direct competitors, but indirectly you're competing for visibility and for attention because there's other people creating content. And your job is essentially to model what those people are doing and do it better than them. Again, in my book, The End of Marketing, I teach strategies on how to humanize your brand through employees, through executives at your company, through your most engaged fans. It's kind of like what we're doing here at GetResponse. I've been brought on to be a brand evangelist to help tell the brand story and form relationships and represent the brand as a human face. You, regardless of what you do, can do the same exact thing. However, you need to have a framework for the content that you create. So whether it's social media content or email marketing content, if you continue to send out emails, for example, every single day promoting a campaign or a sale or offer, I guarantee you that that content is going to be weeded out, ignored, canceled, and it's going to be viewed as spam. And I don't want you to do that. So instead, follow this framework right here. Educate, inspire, and entertain. Create content that teaches. It teaches a skill. It teaches your customers how to actually use your product. So in the case of, for example, GetResponse, we're a B2B brand, right? A lot of the content that we create is centered around how to be more effective in email marketing. We're doing it right now, even through this webinar, right? Social media content, email content. If you create content that teaches a how-to or a growth hack or a tip or a trick, now you're giving your audience a more compelling reason to open up that email when they see it come through their inbox. Then there's inspiration. So inspiration comes in a lot of different ways. Oftentimes in B2B, we use customer success stories as forms of inspiration. If you're in B2C marketing, you can use inspiration or inspirational stories from a customer that had a really good experience with your brand. You can still use email marketing to go ahead and send out an email to your customer list and let them know, hey, this customer had this amazing experience with us. This is what happened. Hear from them directly. And then you have entertainment. So entertainment also comes in different forms. The easiest way that I can suggest that you make your content entertaining in a medium like social media, for example, is using music, use emojis, use GIFs, emails, same thing. Spruce up your subject lines by adding emojis. Spruce up the content in your email to make it look less salesy and less promotional by also adding GIFs and adding more entertaining elements. So here's the question that I get asked a lot by my homies that are social media marketers. I've been asked this over the last 3 months since I joined GetResponse. Is email marketing going away? Is email marketing dead? There's this misconception that email marketing is this kind of antiquated system because it's been around before social media. For the record, a company like GetResponse, we've been around for over 25 years, since 1999. So we're in 2024 right now. That's a long period of time that email marketing has existed. Email marketing, my friends, is the Taylor Swift of digital marketing. And what I mean by that is Taylor Swift is a well-known artist all over the world. She arguably is one of the most famous artists that exist today. Her reach as a musician is similar to the reach of email marketing by comparison to social media marketing. You look at a platform like Facebook, everyone gravitates to Facebook, right? Because you have billions of users on Facebook. Well, you look at email, and the stats are you have over 4 billion users worldwide with an email address. So the potential for your reach to find someone and engage with them on email exists so much greater than social media. And part of that also has to do with the fact that there's owned data versus rented data. On social media, you're dealing with algorithms. You're competing with social networks themselves that operate as ad platforms. In order for them to share your posts with the masses, they want you to pay for that reach. As long as you have someone's email address and you're using a platform like GetResponse, now you have the ability to have one-to-one direct communication with them without an algorithm or without a company that's saying, hey, the only way we're going to allow your followers to see your content is by you paying for that reach. Now, one of my favorite movies of all time is Castaway. So in the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks is on this deserted island. Now, on this deserted island, he talks to himself throughout the movie. He also talks to a volleyball called Wilson. And I like to make this comparison oftentimes that today's content on social media and also email marketing and just digital marketing as a whole, because the internet is noisy. The internet is also fragmented, especially in social media. You have this fragmented ecosystem where you have Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok and Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. It's hard to keep up. Much of today's content on social media is isolated. And you can see this in the numbers when you look at your metrics. And I'm going to put email into this as well, because the devil's in the details when you're doing online marketing of any kind, whether it's social or whether it's email. You know, years ago, I worked with a large brand. I'm not going to say the name to respect their privacy. But at the time, they had over 4 million likes on their Facebook page. And their CMO was really frustrated because every time they would post on Facebook, they would have the same 5 or 6 people liking their content, and their reach was really low. And I let her know the reality is you don't have 4 million people that follow you on Facebook. You really have just a few hundred, because the algorithm is limiting your reach. And over the years, you've probably spent money, you've applied different tactics to drive that follower growth. But if you don't keep those followers engaged, they fall off. And that fall off, that lack of engagement, is what I call the Wilson effect. So once again, in the movie Castaway, Tom Hanks is chatting with the volleyball. Whole movie, he's talking to this volleyball, but the volleyball doesn't talk back. It's an imaginary figure. So as marketers, we get caught up in these big numbers, right? Well, I have thousands of followers, I have thousands of email subscribers. Hey, look, if they're not engaging back with you, you don't have thousands of anything. You just have numbers. So my recommendation to every marketer out there, whether you are looking to dominate email marketing, whether you are looking to dominate text, social, focus on engagement over visibility. Historically, everyone's going for the big numbers, right? And I like to use this comparison whenever I'm speaking on a stage to an audience in person, right? Most conferences I speak at in person, let's say hypothetically, I've got 500 people in front of me in that room, in that audience. I cannot humanly, in 24 hours, have meaningful dialogue with 500 people in front of me. I can have meaningful dialogue with a handful of people, maybe 5 or 10, but hundreds, it's impossible, right? Marketing operates the same way. As marketers, we're constantly under scrutiny and pressure to reach these big audiences, convert all these big numbers. But marketing, my friends, especially in this era that we're in of AI that's moving really fast and it's really fragmented, marketing needs to go back to one-to-one. And the way that you focus on one-to-one marketing is you get really deep in the details of who exactly is paying attention to your content. So again, email marketing, GetResponse, you have access in the back end to see the analytics of who is engaging with your emails. Create segmented lists with the people that are actually opening up your emails. Get a lot deeper with those people that have opened up the last 5 email campaigns that you've sent, and reach out to them on a one-to-one level. Find out who they are, what company they work for, what do they do, how can you bring more value to them through the products, goods, and services that you offer. And the same principles apply on social media. If you're seeing very little reach and engagement, but you have 1 or 2 people that are consistently engaging with your content, thank them. Develop rapport with them. And over, what you're going to see is that when you show up on the scene, whether it's an email or in someone's inbox, or whether it's a post on social media, as long as you're giving so much value, those individuals are going to endorse you and share you to their friends. But this requires a strategic shift, and this requires broadening your digital strategy so you're not just focusing on one medium, but instead you have an omni-channel presence. And that's the key word. Having an omni-channel presence today is going to be what helps scale your brand and save your brand long-term. Look, marketing is the lifeline of an organization. I'm not just saying this because I'm a marketer and I'm highly biased, but I've worked in marketing for 15 years, right? Very long time. I've spent the majority of my adult life working in digital marketing specifically. And there's a lot of businesses today that are struggling to stay afloat because they don't have the marketing systems in their business to help scale their business and keep their business alive. Instead, they're putting their eggs in just 1 or 2 baskets. So you see here the call out: focus on engagement, broaden your digital strategy, and really prioritize direct one-to-one communication channels such as email marketing, such as text message marketing. It cannot be just social. And I'm going to share with you this real life case study, right? For those of you that grew up in the 80s and 90s like me, you probably remember a company that once existed a long time ago called Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster Video was the go-to retailer for video rentals. I know here in the United States, I'm pretty certain across the entire world. Well, right around the early 2000s, when DVDs became really big, there was a company that came out called Netflix. Before there was online streaming and Wi-Fi, you would rent their movies online, their DVDs, they would mail them to you, you'd watch them, you'd send them back, there'd be no late fees. Life was good. Well, guess what happened? Blockbuster, they failed to pivot. They instead got swallowed up by Netflix. The connection to Blockbuster and Netflix to today's world of digital marketing, when you're not broadening your strategy and when you don't have an omni-channel presence, is that you, instead of having that omni-channel presence, having multiple tentacles for your reach, instead you're relying on just one platform. And here in the United States, the US government recently voted to effectively ban TikTok. So what happens to the brand that's putting all their eggs and all their chips onto TikTok, right? What happens if TikTok goes away and that's the only marketing channel that you're relying on? Well, what happens to your business? Like, ask yourself that question. I know for myself, as also a small business owner that has a big presence on TikTok, this has made me realize very quickly Having a CRM today is gold. If you have 300,000 TikTok followers, but you have 0 emails from those followers, then you have nothing. You are putting all your chips into rented land. So again, we have this analogy of Blockbuster and Netflix. Ask yourself, does your strategy depend too heavily on these unstable platforms? Like, I'm really curious to know. I see we have some folks that are commenting here in the chats that love the analogy. I'm really curious to know, do you have an omni-channel strategy right now? And what I mean by omni-channels, you're not just broadcasting on these different channels or mediums, but these mediums are actually speaking to each other. Meaning, when you send out a post on TikTok or on Instagram, do you have a system set up to drive those views and those followers to subscribe your email newsletter? We're going to talk about that here in a minute. If you don't, it's okay. But do you have that system in place today? Do you have a system in place to where you're leveraging your email marketing campaigns to drive people back to content that lives on social, where on social they can easily like it and share it and comment and expand your reach of your brand? Now, look, I am a big hip hop head. You're going to see some different references to Beyonce and Drake throughout my presentation here. But the reason why I like using these analogies, whether it's movies or music, is you take an artist like Drake, right? Drake's existed now for, gosh, almost 20 years, it seems like. His music is timeless. Your marketing approach needs to be very similar to the Drake or the Beyonce of your industry, where you also are timeless, meaning you're constantly evolving, you're constantly leveling up, you're pushing the bar. And the good news for all of you out there is that you all have access to the same tools and resources as every single creator and every single celebrity that exists today. So let's talk about the tools before we then talk about the tactics. I'm going to bring my guy, Austin Helm from ZeroBounce here in just a moment. So look, GetResponse undoubtedly is a powerful, powerful marketing tool that goes well beyond email marketing. If you're not using GetResponse right now, I highly encourage you to grab your cell phone, scan the QR code that you see in the bottom right of your screen, or when you see the other slides that have the QR code, sign up for it. I'm going to tell you about the promo that we're running here in just a moment. But before I get into it, look, I come from the world of social media marketing. I have scaled multiple businesses ranging from e-commerce to brick and mortar retail of my own. And I have yet to find a tool that is as robust as GetResponse. In addition to email marketing, you have integrations with Shopify if you have an e-commerce store. You have the ability to host webinars like we're doing here within the platform. You have the ability to use built-in AI features to do all the heavy lifting for you, do all the writing that you don't want to do. You can do it within GetResponse. You can set up auto responders. So GetResponse, my friends, is a powerful marketing engine that you absolutely need to be using for your business. And I'm not just saying this because I work for the company, but I'm saying this because I myself am a marketer. I want you to succeed. And look, I get it. You know, in our roles, whether we're on the agency side or whether we're on the client side or whether we have a business of our own, wherever we sit within a marketing organization, there are a lot of tools that exist. So from my standpoint, the less tools, if I can do everything in one platform or one or two or maybe three, then for me, that's a win. So if you haven't used GetResponse, make sure that you sign up for the tool. Scan the QR code that you see here on the screen. We also have a promo that's currently running that you can save up to 40% off of a long-term subscription. So that's really exciting. If you currently are using a tool like I hate to say it, but a HubSpot or one of the other, CRM like tools in the industry, we also are offering free migration support between now and July 8th. So we're going to go ahead and pause here. What I want to do is I want to queue it up for Austin Helm, who's going to join us from ZeroBounce, because ZeroBounce is a partner of GetResponse, and it's a really important tool that you need to be using early on as you get started in your social to email journey. There's a lot of different tools out there that, help you do things like scrape LinkedIn and social media data, which is something that, we are not supportive of. However, ZeroBounce does have some tools in place to ensure that whoever you're emailing through GetResponse actually receives your email and you don't get high bounce backs. So with that, Austin, I want to turn off my camera for a minute and I want you to take the stage, my man.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the intro, Carlos, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Happy to talk to you guys about ZeroBounce and what we can do for you to help you on your email marketing journey here. But before we get started talking about ZeroBounce, I want to reiterate some of the things that Carlos said about email itself and how important email is. Email is absolutely not going anywhere. Carlos made the analogy to email being the Taylor Swift of digital communication. And I wanted to even take it a step further and say that email is the foundation of digital communication. Let's remember for a second how we got to this point. Before there were computers or phones or anything like that, you had a mailbox at your house. People would send you letters. That's how they got in touch with you. And then once computers and phones came along, they just took that process and made it digital. That's how people communicated from day one of the internet. And now, in order to do anything, you have to give somebody your email address. From the consumer point of view, when you sign up for anything, you give them your email address. When you buy anything, you give them your email address. And then from the business point of view, you send them an email to confirm your connection with them and confirm your communication with them and that they exist. But within that process, there's a lot of things that can occur with that email address and a lot of things that can happen that can make that communication ineffective, inefficient, and actually even further cause you problems with your campaigns. And that's where we come in. So we are ZeroBounce. We're an email validation platform. We serve some of the largest tech companies out there, all the way down to mom and pop shops. Same great service all the way through, and happy to help you with anything that you'll need. So let's start here and talk a little bit about what email validation is. It's a very simple thing. Email validation is the process of making sure your emails that you're sending to are actually going to be real. It's the fundamental component of email marketing. Are you sending to somebody that actually exists? And so there's a couple things that can happen, whether it be positive or negative, based on whether or not these emails that you're sending to are actually real or not. Email itself works like a snowball. I like to use that as my analogy in terms of what will happen if you're either doing things well or doing things poorly. So it's either going to snowball in a positive direction or a negative direction. If you start to have problems, or if you start with one little problem, it's going to snowball into a bigger one. I always say I get one of two types of customers. I get people who call me and they're saying, hey, I'm just doing maintenance on my list. I want to make sure my emails are good and that everything's going to be continue to be smooth. Or I get people calling me freaking out. Oh my God, my emails are all going to spam, but they kicked me off my email sending platform. And now I have all kinds of issues. I got to get a new domain, blah, blah, blah. So it's really only one of the two. And it's all because they avoided the process of validating emails. The average lifespan of an email is anywhere between 3 and 6 months. If you're dealing with business emails, it's going to be a shorter lifespan. If you're dealing with personal emails, it's going to be a longer lifespan. So depending on what your list is comprised of is what is going to determine how many times a year you're going to have to validate that list. And so here you can see, we see a lot of things going on with these lists that we check. We check billions of emails a year. Large percentage of the lists that we check go bad every single year. And so simply by getting these lists validated, you can make sure that your list is going to be clean. You're going to have valid contacts, and you're actually going to be able to communicate with the people that you need to be communicating with. So there's a couple different things we're going to do when we validate your list, and a couple different things we look for. So the main thing that you're going to be interested in, obviously, are the valid emails. And those emails are going to be your gold. That's what you're going to work off of. That's what you're going to build your base off of. There's a couple other result categories that you might be interested in. One of the things we might get into a little bit later about some of the misconceptions with email validation are the catch-all emails. Those are really the only gray area there is email validation, but we can help to handle those as well and show you how to manage those. Those are very common amongst business domains. And so we have some tools that can help to assist with those. In addition, you can contact me directly if you want a little more information on how to handle those emails, if that's a problem you're dealing with. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now due to the time we have here, but happy to help you after the presentation is over. And so there's other things we check for. Temporary emails. If you have sign-up forms and people are constantly just filling your forms with temporary emails or emails that are going to be also they're called disposable. Role-based emails, spam traps, anything you can think of out there that people are going to use, we can validate against and make sure that they're going to be removed from your list so that you're not going to send to them and cause yourself problems. Let's see here. So you want, like I was saying, depending on what your list is comprised of, you want to be checking your list at least 2 or 3 times a year. You can, if you're really like to be clean, then 3 months, once a quarter is great. You're not going to have any issues. So usually what will happen and what you're going to see if you're not cleaning emails, let's say you decide not to clean your emails. First, you're going to start bouncing. That's when you're sending to an invalid email. Your email is going to bounce back to you. And all of that activity and all those bounces are tracked by your email service provider that you're using. And so, as I was saying a little bit earlier, when you're bouncing emails constantly, that activity is being monitored by the service provider, and then they begin to build what is called your sender's reputation on their platform. That's also able to be seen by the rest of the providers out there as well. So if your reputation is one that's constantly bouncing emails, or you're getting marked as spam a lot, you're sending to emails and immediately going to the spam box, that reputation is going to start to snowball on itself. You're not going to be able to send emails. Everything's going to go to spam. Sometimes your domain gets trashed. It's a whole plethora of issues that you're going to have to deal with, all simply because you started bouncing a couple emails and didn't check your list. So those problems can quickly build up and snowball on top of each other. And it's not something that you want to deal with, because there's 2 ways to deal with it. One of them costs time, and the other one, unfortunately, costs money. But if you do clean your list and you're delivering to those emails, it's going to help you to improve your results as a sender as well, because you're going to build yourself a good reputation. You're more than likely to get the benefit of the doubt when sending. And obviously, then once that bit of mail gets to the inbox, it's more than likely to convert into a sale or something beneficial for your organization. So, like I said, you want to be focused here on simply sending to valid emails. It's the foundation of email marketing. If you don't have a valid address to send to, don't send to that email. And I believe we're going to get into a little bit later with Carlos when him and I jump on here together, some other questions and some other things to look out for if you're purchasing data, what type of data is best, different ways to use the product on forms and things of that nature, because we can obviously do validation. We can validate your entire database. You can put us behind your sign-up forms as well to validate emails on the fly and make sure that bad data isn't even getting in the gate. But right now, I'm going to turn it back over to Carlos. Carlos, thank you for the time here, and I'll talk to you shortly.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Austin. We've got some great questions that are here in the chat. So Austin and I are going to come back here when I'm done with the rest of the slides, and we will have a Q&A session. So Austin, if you could turn off your camera, and Mike will come back to you here in a few minutes. So keep those questions coming. By the way, guys, I see that we've got some funny Drake comments. So, keep it light. It's all good. I'm, again, big hip hop head. So anywhere that I can make marketing relatable, that's what it's all about, right? Marketing is not difficult. At the end of the day, we're all in the same game, which is to drive more revenue to our organizations. And we do that by driving more eyeballs to our companies. And one of the tools that I absolutely love from I don't even want to say marketing perspective, but operations in general is ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT, should be every business's go-to secret weapon to create content that converts. And here are just 3 of the ways I've kind of broken down, and I'm going to share some examples with you here in just a moment of how you can be using ChatGPT. But before I do want to put it out there that GetResponse has built-in AI tools that you can leverage to not only create subject lines and copy that converts, but you can literally, through GetResponse's AI tools, have your entire email campaign created with just a few prompts. You can tell the AI within GetResponse who it is that you're trying to reach, what your objective is, even what tone that you want to use. So it's almost like using ChatGPT, but within GetResponse. I'm curious, since we have some customers that are watching this presentation, who's actually using the built-in AI tools within GetResponse, and what has your success rate been by using those tools? I'd really love to hear some feedback. Now, with that being said, whether it's GetResponse's built-in AI tools or whether it's ChatGPT, you absolutely should be leveraging AI to tailor your email subject lines and create attention-grabbing subject lines. And the way that you do this is very simple. It's developing rapport with the AI itself. Look, AI is only as good as the person that's on the other end of the AI programming it, right? So many times I hear from marketers that they are confused with how to use AI. They think that AI is going to do all this work for them. And the reality is you need to tell the AI who exactly you're trying to reach, what your objective is, what you're trying to sell, what you're trying to market. So my recommendation, whether you're using GetResponse's built-in AI tools or ChatGPT, is start off by opening up a thread and state what your objective is. So if you are, for example, a sneaker store, and I'm just going to use this as an example because it's the first thing that comes to my mind, co-owning a sneaker store. If you're a sneaker store and you want to reach more sneakerheads, let them know about a new release that you just have. You need to tell ChatGPT, I am trying to sell more sneakers. I have a release of a new Jordan 4, and I want to let our CRM know about the sale or the drop. Write an email subject line that's optimized for engagement and attention grabbing. You literally have to speak to the AI like you would speak to an agency or an employee on your marketing team. And then you let the AI come back with a few different options and then tailor the subject line specifically to who your customer is. So if you're trying to reach, in this case, a sneakerhead, or you're trying to reach, if you are a brand that's catering to a little bit more mature and older of an audience, let them know my target demographic is male or female, or they range between the ages of 25 to 45, and these are their interests. So start with that. Use ChatGPT as well, not only to write captions for you for social media, but also your email body copy. So once you have the subject line, then you're going to ask the AI to write the copy for you for the body. And again, this requires you still doing some of the heavy lifting and legwork by letting the AI know what your objective is, what it is that you want to accomplish, and then creating automated response templates. If you're not doing this within GetResponse right now, you are really missing a low-hanging fruit opportunity to improve your efficiencies and the ability to stay connected and engaged with your customers. So I saw before when Austin was speaking, we have a good amount of customers that are watching that use GetResponse already. Be sure that you are going through the automation workflows within the GetResponse tool and set up these auto response templates. So whenever you have a new subscriber that joins your newsletter or your contact list, they're going to receive an email from you right away, or you can even delay it. They can receive an email from you a day from now or 3 days from now, but make sure that is a customized auto response template that has some sort of an offer or welcome instructions so they know what to expect. And then start getting in the habit of using these automated response templates for different actions. So someone doesn't open up your email, they get bumped with an email within a day, right? Or if someone's engaging with your last few emails, they're going to get some sort of email sending them, either an offer, an invitation. The name of the game here, though, is to leverage AI to do the heavy lifting that otherwise it would take you hours to do, or you wouldn't do it all. Now, here's an example. Going back to Drake, for those of you that love Drake, we've got some examples of cringe-worthy subject lines, right? I think we can all agree that whenever you see these subject lines coming up in your email inbox, your inclination is to delete, to hit spam, and to not open them, right? Like, who exactly is looking forward to getting an email that says act now or lose out forever, or buy now, regret later? That's overtly telling a customer that you're trying to sell them something. And keep this in mind, today's consumer, they don't want to be sold to, they want to be engaged. People are brands, and people are intentionally ignoring brands, traditional brands, because of this. Now, going back to AI, whether you're using GetResponse's built-in AI tools or using another tool like ChatGPT, you absolutely need to start off by writing captivating subject lines. If you can, whenever it's possible, personalize. So, hey, first name, or, hey, Carlos, yo, Carlos. Like, I have found, even for professional business emails, whenever I put yo with the person's name and exclamation point, and then the following text is like, lowercase, whatever, so like, yo, Carlos, like, check this out, ... That tends to get the highest open rates, because the perception on the surface is that I'm not sending a mass email marketing campaign. Something special inside just for you still seems salesy, but also it still feels personable because you're putting the just for you. Let's make your day a little bit brighter. Like, these are all examples of subject lines that you can work with, and you can use AI to help finesse for you. Now let's get into some of the good stuff here. How do you marry together email and social media to revive organic reach? Because I hear this all the time from marketers. My organic reach sucks. I have all these thousands of followers, but they're not paying attention to me, so my reach is really low. Well, the first step that you need to do is you need to start using your social media channels as a funnel. So before, someone said that, omnichannel marketing is like e-commerce and B2B. In the world of social media marketing, omnichannel is having presence on multiple different platforms. So if you're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, how do you bridge these all together so you're not just rinse and repeating and posting the same content everywhere? Because let's face it, you're speaking to different audiences on these platforms. The platforms themselves display content differently. But that being said, you need to start using social media networks as a funnel, so you can start using these platforms for discovery of your brand and as a conversation tool to then get those followers over into your email newsletter, where they will become subscribers and paying customers. So once again, using the e-commerce example, use social media to humanize your brand by featuring your customers, actually showing really cool videos that you film on an iPhone of your products, post that on your social platforms, post the link in your bio to then get those people that are engaging with your content to go to your website, you get their email address, and now you have the ability to communicate with them one-on-one directly. Then there's what I call the freemium to premium strategy. And this is essentially engaging your followers with content that's free, but provides value to them. People are not opening up an email or going with intent to social networks to be sold to. So stop immediately with the selling, right? Like, everything that you know about sales, hit the reset button on and stop using these mediums to sell. Instead, start using these mediums to educate, inspire, and entertain. By doing so, you're going to see a boost in engagement. You're going to see more people commenting, more people sharing over time. And these are individuals that, whether you DM them directly with a link to sign up for your newsletter, or you overtly call out like, hey, if you want to see more content like this, or if you want to stay connected, or if you want to get more value, or if you want to, whatever, get a sale, get a coupon, get a discount, click the link in the bio, sign up for our email newsletter. And now you're able to turn your social media content into a powerful lead magnet for your business. The third tactic that I want to share with you is unlocking VIP access through email. So again, I love analogies. I talked about Drake and Tom Hanks and Castaway and Taylor Swift early on. Who doesn't like to get exclusivity? Like, who doesn't like to get, that exclusive access at a party or a club or at a sporting event, right? You want to be in the suite. You don't want to be, in the 300 level. Email marketing can work the same way for your brand if you create email as an exclusive vehicle to get content through email that otherwise your followers on social media would never see. So if I'm working at a company that has exclusive discounts or offers or sales, I'm not revealing the sauce in terms of how you can get access to that sale through social. Instead, I'm creating a VIP insiders club that the only way you join that club is through email. And I'll give you an example. Years ago, I used to run digital marketing for a supermarket chain by the name of Save-A-Lot in the Midwest. And I was responsible for running our loyalty program, and which was also happened to be our email marketing program. But we would use social media, and this goes back 10 years now. We would use social media to talk about all the cool access that you could get within the shopper loyalty program. But the caveat was you had to join the program, meaning you had to give us your email in order to unlock the value that we were talking about on social. So again, whether you sell insurance or real estate, whatever products, goods, and services you sell, use social to educate, entertain, and inspire, driving users back over to your website where they're going to get exclusive access in the form of being a part of a newsletter, even if it's a daily newsletter. And look, email marketing has become a huge business. And this is an example that I find myself sharing a lot with marketers. Morning Brew is a daily email marketing newsletter that most digital marketers have heard of before. If not, they've opted into it. Morning Brew sold their company to Business Insider in 2020 during COVID for $75 million with 4 million subscribers. Let's do the math now. You have 5.3 billion users on the internet worldwide. Over 5 billion. 4 million. It only took 4 million subscribers for this company to sell an email newsletter for 75 million bucks. We all have the ability, like, hear me out. Watching this, myself, we all have the ability to be the next Morning Brew. As simple as signing up for GetResponse, creating a really fun and engaging email newsletter, and telling as many people to get on it for exclusive content that they're not going to find anywhere else. Educate, entertain, inspire. You can educate and teach people how to do something better. You're going to hook them for life. And occasionally you throw them something for them to buy. But the key is to build this rapport. Again, having that omni-channel presence. So before we wrap this up and open it up for Q&A, I want you to get your questions ready. I have a few more slides and then we're going to open it up. Once again, I want to tell you about the promo that we have with GetResponse right now. You can sign up for GetResponse, save up to 40% off of a subscription. We will help you with dedicated migration support, meaning if you need help importing your list, getting set up with GetResponse from another service provider, we will help you do that for free. We'll also give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy, you can use GetResponse for 30 days, complimentary. If you don't like it, you can leave, go back to your other service provider, although I am very confident that you will stay. So as we look to wrap it up, I want to help you future-proof your brand like Beyonce. We've talked here today over the last 45 minutes or so about different strategies for you to be more human, be more engaging, how to connect the dots between social and email. We have my guy Austin from ZeroBounce talk to you about how to ensure that the emails you're importing into your contact list on GetResponse is clean and you're emailing the right people. And the most important thing is to follow these steps to ensure long-term brand longevity. And it starts with one, developing a robust email list. Continuously clean your lists up. It makes no sense for you to pay to have access to email people that have lost their jobs, their email bounces, they subscribe to you somewhere else, and now you're going to tick them off by emailing them again, or they're just not paying attention. It's pretty safe to say if someone hasn't opened up the last dozen or so email campaigns that you sent, either you're saying something wrong and it starts with the email subject line, or they just aren't interested, and that's okay. Clean up the list. Ensure that you have a robust email list, that you're emailing the right people. And part of that is leveraging data. So integrate social with email and also SMS for targeted campaigns. Like, the name of the game here, friends, is data, data, data. Get as much data as you possibly can. I can tell you, as someone who has worked for a social network, okay, these social networks are advertising companies. These social networks want your data. You have to operate no different than the social networks themselves. Use their technology to get the data into your CRM, or in this case, into GetResponse. So you have the ability to build long-lasting relationships. So if that platform goes away, or if that person just decides, you know what, I am 45, I've got kids, a wife, a mortgage, I got all these problems, and I don't have time for Instagram or Facebook anymore, guess what? You still have a relationship with that customer. Create consistent cross-channel content. So ensure that you have a unified voice and tone across all of these channels. So if you're like really fun and engaging on social, be really fun and engaging on email. Have that consistency across mediums. Implement automation AI tools. I can't stress how much time AI has helped me over the last 2 years that I've dabbled in and out of using not only ChatGPT, but different AI tools to help me be more efficient and work faster. Engage cross-channel subscribers. So create various incentives to drive people from social over to email. Monitor and adapt to platform changes. Look, you have to keep your eye on what's happening at these platforms. There's no guarantee that Instagram is going to be around long term. There's no guarantee that Facebook and Twitter will exist. Look, many years ago, there was a popular social network called Vine. Vine came and went. I personally know people who were very famous creators on Vine. They weren't on YouTube at the time. They weren't on Instagram. Vine went away, and guess what happened to that creator? They had to start from scratch. I also know creators on YouTube that have had their YouTube accounts out of the blue. They wake up one morning, they go log in. YouTube, for whatever reason, banned their account. I guarantee you, if your account gets banned on YouTube, there is no one that you're going to talk to at YouTube or Google unless you absolutely know someone on the inside. And even that is very hard. I myself have had my Instagram account taken down multiple times for possibly policy violations that I didn't even know that I had committed. So again, these social networks are extremely, extremely, extremely volatile, which is why you need to put a priority into email marketing. And last is SMS. Integrate SMS strategies into your overarching marketing strategy so you have the ability to instantly communicate in addition to email with your customers through text message as well. So we've got about 10 minutes left in this webinar. First of all, if you thought this webinar was amazing, please take the survey. I would love to get that feedback. I'd love to share with the powers that be here at GetResponse. This is my first webinar that I do since I started my new role. So any feedback that you can offer, I would appreciate it. If there was anything else that we could have covered in today's webinar that you would have liked to have known, also let us know that as well. Feedback is absolutely a gift. I'm going to be doing more of these webinars. It's going to be called Inbox to Income. So be on the lookout for your inbox with more of these invites. So we've got about 10 minutes. I want to bring Austin back here on the screen. So Austin, if you can unmute yourself, show yourself on camera. Let's just kind of start here. I know that before, Austin, someone asked, how do you stack up against ZeroBounce, which is a competitor of your company?
Yeah, so we've been around now for going on close to 10 years. And it seems like every other day there's somebody popping up trying to do email validations. And we're now close to a 100-person company focused on solving this specific problem. We own all of our infrastructure. So all of your data is processed on our servers. We're not beholden to something like an Amazon Web Services or anything like that. And in addition, are able to provide a very high quality validation in addition to very high levels of data security. So those are the two main components that differentiate us from everybody else out there. ZeroBounce, any of the other names you could throw out there, it doesn't really matter. We've distinguished ourselves in the industry, and for that reason, we're doing stuff with companies like GetResponse and at all these other events. And no doubt that you will find that the service will serve you much better than anybody else you can find out there.
Awesome. Thank you. So question that I'm going to answer here comes from Emily. Emily works for a credit union. She says here, I work for a credit union, so our email list is only for members, which is customers. Should I use social media to inform and educate members for future members? And the answer is absolutely. Use every avenue that you have to provide education around the goods, products, and services that you offer. People today know what you do. You don't need to sell them unless you have this amazing offer. Like, for example, here at GetResponse right now, you can sign up, save up to 40% off. We'll help you migrate your account over from a competitor for free. Like, that's an amazing offer. But we're not going to be talking about this every single day, right? The objective is to teach you how to become a better marketer by using our tools, right? So providing education is the name of the game here. If you provide education to people, then those people feel like you are a good partner in their business. And if you're a partner in their business, then they're going to feel inclined to advocate throughout their network for you. So I would also say that kind of goes with the question of what's the best way to build an audience is do just that. Keep your audience engaged through educational content. Keep the questions coming. A few good ones so far. This is being recorded and this is going to be sent out. There was another question I had for you, Austin. So, just kind of summarize the key benefits of email list validation and, the impacts of email marketing. If you have, maybe a client that comes to mind, or an example that someone can relate to, let us know.
Absolutely. So there's a couple different ways that you'll see benefits based on the problems that you're facing. Number one, obviously, the main benefit is you're going to be able to communicate with people. Like that's the simple thing. They have to have a real address in order to be able to communicate with them, and then you can turn that communication hopefully into ROI. Another example: when one of our clients, Shake Shack, the burger place, one of my favorite burgers out there.
Shout out Shake Shack. I love them too.
They're great. They're great. They were having some issues with a bot on their sign-up forms. And so they were getting millions and millions of fake emails going through their sign-up forms. And the second that they put us behind the email field on their sign-up form, in a week or so, the bot went away and it solved that problem. All the emails that they were then coming in were valid, and they're then able to use those to actually communicate and market their products. But so in addition to those are really the two main uses of email validation: the bulk email validation, cleaning up your list so you can communicate with the people that you want to, and then the real-time validation on the forms so that you can validate anything new coming in on the fly. Then you don't have to go back and do the bulk validation for a while, so that those emails coming in are already good to go.
Awesome. So, we have about 5 minutes left. Just once again, want to call it out. Any questions that you have, drop them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many. So I want to talk to you for a minute about data scraping. So I've been a LinkedIn user for years. LinkedIn many years ago used to allow you to export your entire database or your entire list of connections. And you could, in theory, import them into a tool like ours. Now, in full disclosure, I'm a marketer, big growth hacker. I've done it all, right? So I've been banned from a few of these different platforms before. It seems like ZeroBounce can help you not get banned. But there are tools nowadays that you can pay a service to essentially scrape LinkedIn data for you, even if you're not connected. I know there's a lot of, legalities and ethical issues around that. Like, what is ZeroBounce's stance on scraping?
So scraping is obviously a common practice, especially if you're starting without a large database to market to, or you're just trying to basically get your footing and figure out which way to go. And so scraping and purchasing data can be good to help you get a base and get started. But if you're going to go that route, you absolutely need to validate a list. And you should not expect that the list that you're getting or the data you've scraped is going to be very good. Just to be upfront about that. If you get a list via scraping or you're purchasing a list from somebody, if that list is 60% valid, you hit the jackpot. You should expect that to be anywhere between 30 and 40% valid 50 is obviously very good. But if that's the route you're going to go, you absolutely want to get your list clean, because you're going to bounce emails left and right. Stuff's going to go to spam. You're going to basically ruin yourself before you even get started. So absolutely, if that's the route you're going to go, get your list cleaned.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I also wanted to go ahead and put it out there. There's also services out there that you can buy emails from different sources, even if they're not scraping LinkedIn. In full disclosure, I've actually used your service many years ago before working for GetResponse, and I can, no pun intended, validate what you're saying. If you are acquiring emails from third-party sources, and these aren't people that necessarily opted in, like, you are potentially buying like junk.
Yeah.
Right. You've got people
Oh,
that
yeah.
move jobs, especially like in an era that we've just come out of with the pandemic. A lot of people have had, job losses or they've moved around. So it's somewhat of a mixed bag of who you're emailing. Someone says here, I did bought it, but not sure junk. Yes. So, another question I had here for you is like, how often do businesses need to be validating their lists?
So this goes back to what I was saying about the lifespan of an email. Usually business emails tend to have a shorter lifespan than personal emails. So if you're a B2B business and you're sending a lot of emails, you want to get that list cleaned probably once a quarter. 2 to 3 times a year minimum. Personal emails you can get away with 1 to 2 times a year, and then 3 times if you want to be extra cautious. But that all depends on what your client base is. But shorter for or more validation for business emails, less validation for personal emails.
Last question for you, Austin, as we look to wrap it up. You're someone that's worked in the email industry for a while. How long have you been with ZeroBounce?
Going on 6 years now.
6 years, man. Sheesh. Good
Yep.
amount of time, man. You go to a lot of the different conferences you were telling me. So, like, what's your predictions, man? Like, we're almost in 2025, halfway there. You've got AI, all this disruption that's happening. Like, where do you see it all kind of going to?
Well, it's interesting, and it goes back to what you were saying early on in the presentation. Email, it's the foundation of digital communication. Until we find a way to have direct contact with somebody digitally, other than the email address. You can argue phone numbers in there as well, but phone number, it's more it's tougher to market to. People are much more touchy about what gets sent to their phones and what gets sent to them via text. Email is just a fundamental way to communicate with people over the web. So in terms of everything happening with AI, actually, I can tell you right now, a lot of the customers that we see coming in from a business perspective are AI companies that want to process massive amounts of email data. So they're looking in our direction. They know that email is a vital component, and it's not going to go anywhere in terms of being able to market to people, get in touch with people, and talk with people. So until something comes out where we're communicating, with chips in our heads from brain to brain telepathically or something like that, even then the email might be the key component to having the connection to that thing. But who knows? Until there's something like that, email is the foundation. It's the Taylor Swift, it's the guitar, it's the whole thing when it comes to email marketing and staying in touch with the people that you're trying to stay in contact with.
I think that's a really good point. I was on a podcast recently, and the podcast host told me that email is the original social network, and I had to correct him and say, no, the original social network is America Online, AOL. You seem like a younger guy, man. So I don't know if
Yeah.
AOL
No, I
was
remember
roughly
AOL.
around when you
AIM.
were
I
growing
was
up.
on AIM. I was doing my thing on AIM.
So the OG of social media is AOL, but the first thing that you would hear when you would get on AOL was what?
You got mail.
You've got mail, right? That was the most exciting, like, for a kid growing up in the mid to late 90s, hearing you got mail it was awesome, man. It was exciting. And it just goes to show the longevity of email, how long it's been around for. And I'm completely with you, man. Like, it's not going to go away. It's ingrained into our DNA. Like, nowadays, you need to have an email address for everything, right? To sign up for anything. You don't need an Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
To get around. Like, but you need an email address. So it's highly important. It's a part of your digital DNA. I know we're going to keep this conversation going, Austin. I look forward to seeing you on the road. I've got your slide here with your contact info. So any closing remarks before we wrap up?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining and tuning in here. I wanted to also inform you as well. We have an integration with GetResponse, so you can hook us up to GetResponse if you are a GetResponse customer and get your emails validated through the platform itself. Carlos, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure being here. Look forward to working more with you in the future, and hopefully see you out there on the road.
For sure, man. Just closing remarks. Thanks a lot for everyone that attended today's webinar. Make sure that you take the survey. And if you have not taken advantage of our promotional offer, scan that QR code that you see on the screen right now. Just pull out your phone, scan out the QR code, sign up, use this for 30 days. I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed. This is Inbox to Income. I'm Carlos Gil, joined by Austin Helm of ZeroBounce. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Take it easy, guys.